studio Gerard Lough, who is a local film director, and he's going to be talking about his latest short film, Waiting for the Magic Hour. And you are very welcome, Gerard.
Hi, Jean. Thanks for having me.
So you have been involved in the industry since 2002. Or 2003, you've directed music videos, you've directed a number of films, and now you have directed your short film, Waiting for the Magic Hour.
Yes, this would be my 8th short film. Short films are traditionally in a way, kind of a way for a director to have his kind of apprenticeship and to cut his teeth and to really learn how to work with actors, tell a story in a way that a music video or commercial wouldn't quite allow you to. But also they're there for sometimes that a director can't make their mind up and they're stuck between feature films and they can't really decide yet, or they're not ready, and they think, you know what, I want to actually try something different here without any great risk or time. So that's what I did. I tried something different with this one. I mean to say it's a much lighter, more fun kind of affair than my last movie, Spears, which was a very dark, kind of sinister, paranoid thriller where everyone's ripping each other off left, right and centre, and this one is very different.
Mm-hmm. And your first feature film as well was Night People, and it was a horror film, so this is a much more light-hearted affair, as you said, this time.
Yeah, Spears was a kind of, typical kind of film noir, mystery thriller, con artists conning each other left, right and centre. I'm very proud of everything, but, it's probably a cold film, it's cynical, it's very tough, and not necessarily a happy ending. And I think sometimes, we always talk about actors being typecast, directors can too if they don't watch out. So I think I'd be conscious of that. So this, I went the complete, take a sharp about turn and do a short film that's about, it's just a nice drama about a photographer and a local man who's hired to drive her around town, and the absolute personality clash right from the get-go, but they gradually warm to each other and learn a bit from each other on the course of the weekend. So it's very new to me. My mum would always say to me, when are you going to do a love story? Would you not do a love story? Because I think something like Dr. Zhivago would be her favourite movie. So in a way, this is about as close as I can get to a love story.
Uh-huh. And your cast, you have a local actor, Aidan O'Sullivan, is one of the cast in this new film.
Yes.
George.
Aidan has notched up 111 film credits. I teasing that maybe he's heading for a record. He's going to beat, Christopher Lee was 200, so maybe another 10 years Aidan will have surpassed him. So he's actually one of the busiest actors in Ireland right now, and no surprise, because A, he's a very good actor, and B, he's just so easy to work with, and as a guy who can roll up his sleeves and help on a production that is maybe low budget and doesn't have all the the luxuries of a big production. So what I'm saying is he's kind of a director's dream. He doesn't give you any trouble. He just gets on with it, and it's great.
Mm-hmm. And when you're doing a film, be it a short film or being a long film, I suppose the title of the film and the music of the soundtrack of the film is very important. So there's a relevance to the title. I just read in your press release for the title of this film.
Yes, Magic Hour is what all us photographers, we refer to as either sunset or sunrise, that period. That's about 30 minutes, 40 minutes where, typically the sky will go blue. It's not dark, it's not light, it's just in the middle, it's twilight. And sometimes you can strike it lucky and it can be really all kind of, red and really, really striking. It's like God's gift to all film directors and photographers. So yes, that's what they give it the name. They also call it Golden Hour, Blue Hour, but Magic Hour is the most typical phrase for it.
And you were saying your film's about a photographer who comes to Donegal to shoot scenery, but you're spoiled for choice here in Donegal.
Yeah, you are. And as this short film, it shows off again a whole lovely wide selection of locations. Like we went to Bunbeg Beach, we went to the Lighthouse, and it's great. I've never been to a lighthouse before, so it's a great excuse when you're a film director. Just put it in the script, so you're gonna have to visit a lighthouse. It's great. Just to say, well, I was at a lighthouse, and then like Dunlewy Church, the ruins, and things like that. Just wonderful.
And the soundtrack as well. I think I read in the press release that there are a few things as magical in filmmaking as when you find the perfect song for a scene, to be able to also introduce an audience to a new artist when they see the film is the icing on the cake. So you've done that very successfully in this film, Gerard.
I think that song in it very good, called On My Mind by a British electronic group called Les Groupes Fantastiques. They're a little bit like I would compare them maybe to a band like Depeche Mode, I know, who influenced them. But as we in the industry, we call them needle drops. That's our phrase for them. So that's where you take a pre-existing song from a popular artist and you put it in your movie. And when you do it right, it's a really potent effect. I just think at the moment with David Lynch passing this week, you just cannot. Once you hear this, when you see the movie Blue Velvet and you hear the song "In Dreams" by Roy Orbison in a particular sequence in the film, for me personally, you can never ever think of that song in the same context again after seeing the movie. And the same goes for the title song alone, Blue Velvet. So that is the power of putting the right song in the right movie. Another example would be, we just imagine, with the opening titles of Saturday Night Fever with John Travolta walking down the street on his lunch break with Staying Alive by the Bee Gees playing. No better song would ever make that scene as good as it is, and that scene is absolutely right for it. It's like the two are in sync in a way. You can say it's about the cutting and the rhythm, but I think there's a part of it that's mysterious and magic. Like every time I did a film and I had 7 different songs lined up for the scene and we picked one because every song just did not click. There's something a bit magical about certain songs just click with certain scenes in movies in a way that I couldn't honestly predict. Mm-hmm. But it's magic when you see it. You know it when you see it.
And I suppose the difference between making a short film and making a longer film is the funding, the expense involved. Is it hard to get funding for films in Donegal or in Ireland?
It's brutal. In Ireland, it's absolutely it's an uphill struggle. It's damn near impossible. I mean, what we have in Donegal, all we have is the bursary, and that's just one short film they're going to fund out of. I mean, I remember one year was about 80 applications. So, listeners, get out your calculator and do the math on that. It's not good. So I wouldn't hold your breath. I mean, I'm glad it's there. Don't get me wrong, but it'd be nice if there's a little bit more than that. I mean, if you had 3 short films or 5, that would be a bit better, So really, to be honest with you, it seems to me like paying lip service to it. So I would say anyone who's listening who does want to make a short film, by all means, try it, apply it, absolutely. But absolutely have a plan B and be ready to put your money where your mouth is and do it yourself in some sort of a way. Maybe scale it down a little bit, be a bit more modest. But that's what I'd recommend.
And I suppose just before we went on air as well, we were talking just about Donegal, and they could do a lot more for making more films in Donegal and to promote what a beautiful country we have.
Yes. I look around, I see untapped potential, honestly, and I see waste. And of course, it's very easy for me to sit here today in your studio and complain. But because people are saying, well, what do you suggest? So all I suggest is, we move the Donegal Film Office to Letterkenny, the commercial centre of Donegal, instead of being out in Carndonagh in the middle of nowhere. 2, we have to somehow find a way, either privately or with some investment from the government or the industry, to have a sound stage. I mean, it doesn't have to be Pinewood, it doesn't have to be the size of 5 football fields, but a small sound stage is what we're missing in Donegal. And if we had that would be the icing on the cake to really attract some productions. Because, as I say, when we think of sets, they don't all have to be like someone out of a James Bond or Batman movie. They can be the size of this studio that we're in now. We don't have that, and we're missing that. And all you need is a warehouse, and you could just, rejig it a bit. I mean, at the end of the day, what is a stage? It's an empty space. So that's another thing that we could be doing. And I would say, have the film office and the county council maybe to open up a bit more dialogue with the local filmmakers, the actors, the creatives here, create a database of all cast and crew available, and keep updating it. So when productions do come to town, knock on the door and say, because I know of myself making a film, you think, well, who are the local actors? Do I keep on have to go up and down to Dublin at more expense and more logistically difficult? So we need a database, we need to update it, and we need to have a kind of a dialogue and a kind of exchange candidly of some ideas back and forth. And yes, the filmmakers need to listen a bit too to some of the realities of funding and commerce and all the rest of it. So, but that's what I feel that needs to happen, Jean.
Mm-hmm. And I just read in the press release as well that you got to test drive the Blackmagic 4K camera. That now I know
sounds like a car.
Yeah, I know as much about photography as I do about hand gliding, but that sounds to me like the Rolls Royce of cameras. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's the God's gift to independent filmmakers because it's affordable. It's about 11 or 1,200 quid it costs now. I mean, and it makes a beautiful image that's that could almost go toe to toe with any major Hollywood production, that has that slick film look. And this is what this does. And also just, it gives you so many options because you can put any kind of lens on it. What it does is it's digital, but it gives you a nice film look, if that makes any sense. With a 35mm film, polished, professional, slick, very high picture quality, 4K, but not just 4K, lovely colors. So it's the camera I was waiting for and I would recommend it to, the independent to people, Get it.
And just also in your press release, you said that there was a personal note in the film as well,
Yes.
that your dad passed away sadly, and 2022, was that what you said before we went in there? And he had a great interest in photography, so
Yes.
it's a tribute to him as well.
Yes. I mean, in a way, I have to be honest, I kept on nicking his camera as soon as his back was turned. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I nicked his Pentax, and I would keep doing weird things, like I'd photograph Blade Runner on the telly at night. You got to start somewhere, and I'd experiment. I also kept nicking his camcorder. So, I mean, some kids that keep on stealing the car, I'd take it for a test drive, I'd be stealing the camera. But what do you expect? That's where you can see where the direction my life went anyway. So, but it is a tradition with us film directors, when people pass, is we put that in the end credits, in memory of, sort of thing. It's a long tradition. It's a fine tradition. So, because it's there, like, film, we change, we get older, but the films always remain exactly the same. They don't age a day, and it's there for all time. So.
And the film, Waiting for the Magic Hour, it was shown in the RCC in November.
Yes.
And where can people look for it now?
Right now, you could whip out your phone, your telly, or your monitor and watch it for free. And you can watch it in 4K if you're picky, like me. My partner keeps on teasing me about watching films in 4K. She thinks I'm probably being a bit nerdy, and she's probably right. HD is fine though. But so you can watch it on YouTube now. It's been watched nearly 4,000 times, and the word is in a way starting to spread about it. For the most part, it has been watched in America. Funnily enough, I'd say 80% of the views come from America. So it's nice now we're concentrating a little bit more on getting the folks here to see it in Donegal. But also, it was absolutely terrific to show it in RCC, because that's on a big screen with great sound, and it went on before a feature film, which it's a shame we don't do more of that now in cinemas. I remember as a kid vividly, sometimes you'd go see a movie and there was a short film on before it. And I have to say, sometimes, once I saw a short film in 1983, and the short film was more memorable than the feature film. The short film, though, was done by a director who at that time was unheard of, and his name happened to be Tim Burton. Which, so it shows the magic of that tradition of these directors all need to start somewhere. But it is hard getting short films shown and exposed, and getting people, because we don't have the big stars and the big budgets, and usually that. Though I did do a short film as adaptation of a Stephen King story, and that got me tons of attention. So that there was ways around it.
Uh-huh. And when you're talking about a short film compared to a feature film, how long are you talking about? Are you talking 40 minutes or
14 minutes?
14 minutes, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's great. Yeah, typically short films are under 10, 15, 20. 30 is getting a bit long, but they can happen.
And any plans for the future? Anything on the horizon?
Well, now they've done something nice, wouldn't you know it, I have an awful hankering to go back to something dark and heavy and gritty. And I've gone awful, Gene, to put this, I've got an awful hankering for a horror. I really, because I was watching Nosferatu recently, which I thought was very good at the cinema. And I did, maybe I was a little bit envious and jealous of how well it was made. And I thought to myself, I've got to I might stick a toe back in horror. At the same time, then you might, also, as I say, keep the door open, do something different. Like I may one day do a musical, because Lord knows every time I do a film, there seems to be a dance sequence in it. Don't ask me why. It's not planned. So I'm destined one day to maybe have my Bob Fosse moment and do a cabaret or all that jazz. So, I think it's good to be open-minded and do something different. But I'll tell you one thing, I'm not going to do a typical Irish film, because at the moment I feel quite a bit of the Irish films, they are a bit, God forgive me for saying, a bit miserable. Serious, grim, heavy, and by all means make a film as serious. So I don't think any movie should have you leave the cinema in despair or broken. But that's just me. Do you know what I mean? I think you can wallow in misery in a film it's very easy to despair in a movie, and it's so much harder to have some semblance of hope or a message. It's you know what I'm saying is don't get me wrong. It's easy to be dark. It's easy to be cynical, but it's harder to have trying to show some virtue or redemption for your characters in the world.
Well, thank you so much, Gerard, for taking time out to talk to me tonight, and continued success with your film directing. And I'm sure we'll hear a lot more your name on a lot more things in the next few years.
Well, I don't know, Jean, as you can see, I'm a very shy, retiring, I'm not really opinionated at all.
No, not at all.